Do you work or study?
I currently work full-time as a digital marketing executive at a fast-growing tech startup. I actually just transitioned into this role about 8 months ago after completing my bachelor's degree in business administration. Before this position, I did an internship in social media management, which really helped me develop practical skills for my current job.
Do you enjoy your work? Why or why not?
I genuinely enjoy my work because it combines creativity with analytical thinking. Designing campaigns and seeing how different audiences respond to them feels like solving an interesting puzzle every day. Of course, like any job, there are stressful moments when multiple deadlines converge. But the satisfaction of seeing a campaign succeed makes all the challenges worthwhile.
Can you describe a typical day at your job?
My workdays are quite dynamic, which I appreciate. Mornings usually begin with analyzing campaign metrics and preparing performance reports for clients. Afternoons might involve creative brainstorming sessions, content creation, or meetings with our design team. Some days I even get to film promotional videos or interview customers for case studies, which breaks up the routine nicely.
What kind of tasks do you usually do at work?
My responsibilities range from strategic planning to hands-on execution. On the strategic side, I develop quarterly marketing plans and allocate budgets across different platforms. For execution, I create content calendars, write ad copy, and sometimes even appear in our promotional videos. Recently, I've started managing some smaller influencer partnerships too, which adds an exciting new dimension to my role.
How do you stay organized at work?
Organization is crucial in my fast-paced work environment. I rely heavily on digital tools like Trello for task management and Google Calendar for scheduling all my meetings and deadlines. Every Friday afternoon, I review my upcoming week and prioritize tasks to ensure nothing falls through the cracks. This system helps me maintain a good work-life balance despite the demanding nature of the job.
What do you find most rewarding about your job?
The most rewarding aspect is definitely seeing the direct impact of my work. When a campaign I designed goes viral or significantly boosts a client's sales, it's incredibly satisfying. Recently, a social media challenge I created gained over 1 million engagements, and our client saw a 30% increase in website traffic. Moments like these validate all the hard work and late nights.
Is your current job related to what you studied?
Yes, but not directly. My business degree provided a broad foundation in areas like consumer behavior and market analysis, which are certainly useful. However, I've had to learn many specific digital marketing skills on the job, like SEO optimization and social media algorithms. The theoretical knowledge from university combined with practical experience has created a good balance for my career development.
Would you like to continue doing this job in the future? Why or why not?
I'm very happy in my current role and plan to stay for the foreseeable future. The digital marketing field is constantly evolving, which means there's always something new to learn. However, long-term, I'd like to progress into a leadership position where I can mentor junior team members. The industry's rapid growth presents exciting opportunities for career advancement that I definitely want to explore. One of the most memorable lessons I've had recently was about digital marketing strategies, which I found incredibly insightful. The lesson focused on the power of social media algorithms and how businesses can optimize their content to reach a wider audience. It was part of an online course I've been taking to improve my professional skills, and it took place about a month ago via a live webinar. The session was conducted by an industry expert who explained how platforms like Instagram and TikTok prioritize content based on user engagement. We learned about key factors such as watch time, shares, and comments, and how they influence visibility. The instructor used real-life case studies, which made the concepts much easier to grasp. For example, she showed us how a small business increased its sales by 200% simply by posting at optimal times and using trending hashtags. What I took away from this lesson was not just technical knowledge but also a new perspective on how digital platforms shape consumer behavior. I realized that even small adjustments, like improving a post's caption or engaging with followers promptly, can make a significant difference. This was eye-opening because I had previously assumed that success on social media was mostly about luck or having a large budget for ads. The impact of this lesson has been profound. Since then, I've applied these strategies to my own side project, a blog where I promote handmade crafts. By implementing what I learned, such as analyzing peak engagement hours and crafting more interactive posts, I've noticed a steady increase in followers and sales. Beyond the practical benefits, the lesson also boosted my confidence in navigating the digital world. It made me realize that with the right knowledge, even beginners like me can compete in the fast-paced online marketplace. Overall, this lesson was not only informative but also transformative, as it changed the way I approach social media both personally and professionally.
Do you think people learn from history? Why or why not?
I believe people can learn from history, but whether they actually do depends on how they engage with it. History offers invaluable lessons. Mistakes and successes from the past provide insights into human behavior, governance, and social change. For instance, studying economic crises like the Great Depression helps policymakers avoid repeating catastrophic financial decisions. Similarly, movements for civil rights and equality remind societies of the dangers of discrimination and the importance of justice. However, learning from history isn't automatic. Many people, including leaders, often ignore its lessons due to short-term thinking or overconfidence. Wars, for example, continue to erupt despite centuries of evidence showing their devastating consequences. Additionally, historical events are sometimes misinterpreted or politicized, distorting their true lessons. Ultimately, those who critically analyze history, rather than just memorizing dates, gain wisdom from it. But without conscious effort, humanity risks repeating past errors, proving that history doesn't teach, it only offers lessons to those willing to learn.
Is it more important to study ancient history or recent history?
The importance of studying ancient versus recent history really depends on what we aim to understand. Ancient history provides foundational knowledge about the origins of civilizations, cultural traditions, and long-term societal developments. For example, studying ancient empires like Rome or the philosophical traditions of Greece helps us grasp how modern political systems and ethical values evolved. Without this deeper historical context, we might overlook the roots of many contemporary issues. On the other hand, recent history is often more directly relevant to current events, offering immediate lessons for politics, economics, and social dynamics. For instance, understanding the Cold War or the rise of globalization helps explain today's geopolitical tensions and economic policies. Recent history tends to resonate more because its consequences are still unfolding, making it easier for people to connect the dots between past and present. Ideally, neither should be neglected. Ancient history teaches us about enduring human patterns, while recent history sharpens our awareness of immediate challenges. A balanced approach allows us to appreciate both the depth of time and the urgency of modern lessons.
Can history repeat itself? In what ways?
History may not repeat itself exactly, but it often echoes in unsettlingly familiar ways. While circumstances and technologies change, fundamental aspects of human nature, such as ambition, fear, and the struggle for power, remain constant, leading to recurring patterns. One clear way this happens is through cyclical economic crises. Financial bubbles and crashes, like the 1929 Wall Street crash or the 2008 global recession, follow similar trajectories of speculation, overconfidence, and collapse. Despite advances in economic theory, societies still fall into the same traps when greed overshadows caution. Politically, authoritarianism and nationalism have resurged in various eras, often under similar pretexts of restoring stability or national pride. The rise of populist leaders today mirrors tactics used in the early 20th century, where charismatic figures exploited public discontent to centralize power. Even if the players change, the playbook remains recognizable. Socially, movements for equality, like civil rights or gender rights, face repeated backlash despite progress. The same arguments against change recur, just repackaged for new generations. This suggests that while societies evolve, underlying tensions persist. Ultimately, histories, repetitions, aren't carbon copies but variations on timeless themes. The lesson isn't that we're doomed to relive the past, but that ignoring its warnings makes avoidable tragedies inevitable.
How should people respond when history repeats itself?
When history shows signs of repeating itself, the wisest response is a combination of awareness, critical thinking, and proactive action. Recognizing familiar patterns is the first step, whether in politics, economics, or social conflicts, but it's not enough to simply notice the parallels. People must actively apply historical lessons to prevent past mistakes from resurfacing with similar consequences. For instance, if economic indicators mirror those before a recession, like unchecked speculation or soaring debt, individuals and policymakers should advocate for regulatory measures and financial caution rather than dismissing warnings as alarmist. Similarly, when political rhetoric leans toward division or authoritarianism, citizens and institutions must reinforce democratic safeguards, such as protecting press freedom and judicial independence, to counteract downward spirals seen in the past. On a personal level, education plays a crucial role. By studying history beyond superficial dates and events, people can develop a deeper understanding of cause and effect. This knowledge empowers them to spot dangerous trends early and resist manipulation. Societies that prioritize historical literacy, open debate, and accountability are better equipped to break negative cycles. However, responding effectively also requires humility. Assuming this time is different often leads to complacency. Instead, treating history as a guide, not a prophecy, allows for adaptable solutions. For example, while pandemics have occurred throughout history, each one demands context-specific responses alongside universal principles like transparency and solidarity. Ultimately, the goal isn't to fear history's repetition but to harness its lessons for more informed, ethical choices. Whether through voting, advocacy, or everyday decisions, individuals have the power to steer outcomes away from past failures and toward progress. The adage, "those who forget history are doomed to repeat it," remains true, but its inverse is equally powerful: those who learn from history can rewrite its course.
What role does history play in shaping national identity?
History serves as the foundation of national identity, acting as a collective memory that defines who we are, where we come from, and what values we hold as a society. It provides the narratives, heroes, struggles, and triumphs that bind people together under a shared sense of belonging. One key way history shapes identity is through shared stories. National histories often highlight pivotal moments, revolutions, independence movements, or periods of resilience that become core to a country's self-image. For example, the American Revolution shapes the U.S.'s identity as a nation of freedom and self-determination, while India's independence movement reinforces ideals of nonviolent resistance and unity in diversity. These narratives, whether celebratory or somber, create a common frame of reference for citizens. However, history can also be a double-edged sword. The way nations interpret their past, what they emphasize or omit, can unite or divide. Countries that confront difficult chapters, like colonial violence or civil rights struggles, often foster a more inclusive identity. Conversely, those that whitewash injustices may face ongoing social tensions. Germany's acknowledgement of the Holocaust, for instance, has shaped its modern identity around accountability and never again, while nations that ignore systemic oppression risk repeating it. History also preserves cultural continuity. Traditions, languages, and customs passed down through generations root people in a sense of lineage. Celebrations like Mexico's Dia de los Muertos or Japan's preservation of imperial rituals connect modern citizens to centuries-old heritage, distinguishing their identity on the global stage. Yet national identity isn't static. As societies reevaluate their histories, questioning colonial legacies or reclaiming marginalized voices, their self-perception evolves. Movements to remove statues of controversial figures or rename landmarks reflect this dynamic process. History, then, isn't just about the past, it's a living dialogue that shapes who we aspire to be. In essence, history is the mirror and mold of national identity. It reflects where we've been and shapes where we're headed. A nation that engages critically with its history can build an identity that's both rooted and resilient.
Do you think history should be taught differently in schools? Why or why not?
History education absolutely needs rethinking, not to erase the past, but to make it more relevant, honest, and engaging for students today. The traditional approach of memorizing dates and reciting dry facts fails to show how history shapes our current world or how ordinary people can learn from it. For starters, history lessons should prioritize critical thinking over rote learning. Instead of presenting a single, official narrative, classrooms could examine conflicting perspectives on events. Take colonialism. Rather than just glorifying explorers, students should analyze colonization's impact through primary sources from both conquerors and colonized peoples. This teaches them to weigh evidence and recognize bias, skills crucial in an era of misinformation. Secondly, schools should connect history to modern issues. When students study the civil rights movement, for example, linking it to today's social justice struggles makes the past feel alive. A lesson on 20th-century pandemics could frame discussions about COVID-19 policies. This approach helps students see patterns and understand that history isn't just about the past, it's a toolkit for navigating the present. There's also a strong case for decentering Eurocentric narratives. Global history is often squeezed into footnotes, leaving students unaware of Africa's medieval empires, Asia's scientific contributions, or indigenous civilizations' sophistication. A more inclusive curriculum wouldn't just diversify stories, it would help students appreciate the interconnectedness of human experience. That said, change shouldn't mean politicizing history. The goal isn't to indoctrinate but to equip students to ask questions. For instance, debating the causes of World War I through simulated diplomacy games fosters deeper engagement than textbook summaries. Ultimately, teaching history differently isn't about rewriting the past, it's about preparing students to shape the future. When history feels human, contested, and urgent, it stops being a chore and becomes a compass.